randomly. Welcome to WYCD Wicked. That stands for What You Can Do. My name's Jake, and that's Wicked Foxy Dragon, a good pal for a long time. How you doing, buddy? Yeah, I'm just doing them randomly. Yeah, I think it is fun to do it like that. It's frustrating for you. I'm sorry, but I am going to put a little more effort into the video clips because we've reached a point actually where I'm back to seeing value in monetizing the channel. Not so much with the super chats, if I'm honest, but with the advertisements, because I'm so poor that I cannot get to Minneapolis. And this is the first time that's actually been a problem. Most things, for better or worse, have been happening in my backyard, but I would like very much to be able to go to where the things are. So the short thing is that I need my watch hours up, which means I need my regular viewers to have content that they have access to. Oh, buddy. Well, tell your little man, a pal from Michigan says hello, and no worries. My hope is that these streams that I'm doing are entertaining to progressives on the replay, and the content is mostly thus far. I'm hoping to get all sorts of folks, but mostly so far, me talking to MAGA types. And the one thing I have definitely learned over the last 2 weeks is that MAGA has no idea what progressives believe. And I base that entirely off the insults I receive. Not the fact that I'm receiving insults, but that they are inaccurate insults. That's a problem. The other problem I see is well, I don't see it. Let me put it like this. The other problem I suspect is that we don't have an accurate view of MAGA. Which is also, I mean, that's bad for us, just like them not having an accurate view of us is bad for them. This is how the folks in the center pretend to be reasonable while they rob us, usually via the tax system. Hey, HBX, what's happening now? I mean, nothing all that surprising. Nothing as bad as the murder of 3 U.S. citizens. They're just trying to they're trying to lay the groundwork for an overthrow of the election system in America. They have raided the FBI has raided an elections office. So Trump's FBI has raided an elections office because he is still sore that he lost the 2020 election, even though he's admitted that he lost it. It's immoral and ungodly. That's a little harsh, but fair enough. Now, I can't. Oh, this guy is very screen name. I'm worried. Is an intentional insult. It may not be. So I'll just say the person who most recently commented, Alex Pretty, stupid, and Renee Good, riddance, self-deported back to Jesus. I suspect you are not serious about any of the stuff that you're making a big deal about just because of your screen name. And your screen name is such that I can't put you on the screen. But if you really wanted a progressive to have to deal with your opinion, you had an opportunity here. And really, all you had to do is not go out of your way to insult somebody for no damn reason. That's very disappointing. It's not a matter of pronouncing it, and I think you know that. Um, strikes me as a racial slur, and I just have no time for you. Now, here's the question, and I don't know if I can take your word for it. Nah, I can't. I'm sorry. Look, I invite black folks, just like I invite all other folks to come to my streams. So they are guests of mine, just like you are a guest of mine. And I'm not going to let one guest insult a whole group of other guests, which is why you're not on screen right now, and why I'm probably going to kick you from the chat. And that's heartbreaking to me because you're the sort of folks I want to talk to. But I'm not going to kick you from the chat because I don't know you, and you might have. I mean, that name might actually have a non-intentionally insulting, even though you tried to be intentionally insulting with your first comment. Your screen name might be something I simply don't understand. So we'll move past it, but I can't have you on screen. Relax 375 says, "Hello, man. What is this stream about?" This stream, I suspect, if you're watching, yeah, you're watching the vertical. So this stream is a progressive trying to, at the very least, get you to understand that you don't know who progressives are, and that you have opportunities on the table that you're not taking, that maybe you could take. And the reason I'm offering this to you, even though I'm sure statistically speaking, we don't agree about politics. So why would I help you? Well, because we share the Venn diagram of our enemies overlaps like this. It's just at the very fringes that we disagree, and we disagree thoroughly. I know we are not going to vote for the same people in the general election. I don't even expect us to vote for the same folks in the primaries, but I do expect us to work together during these upcoming primaries to replace the liars from both of our parties. And the reason I need you is the reason you need me. I don't know at a glance what is actually your beliefs, because they're your beliefs, not mine. Just like as we've demonstrated here, you don't know what are my beliefs. So that means each of us has to be the sheepdogs, the guard dogs in our own parties, because we can smell when somebody's off. The issue we have, I have seen now through at least 2 presidential administrations, is that we let liars get through our primaries. We let people who say they believe what we believe through our primaries, but we let them take Soros money. We let them take Bill Gates money. We let them take Koch brothers money. We let them take AIPAC money. We let them even take NRA money. And as a result, they do favors for those people. And they don't actually do what they said they were going to do for us. It's happening to the right wing right now. And I know they don't even they haven't even registered it. It's heartbreaking, man. Yeah. This is it exactly. This is exactly the problem. We are just numbers and statistics to them, brother. No matter who is in charge, says Relax 375. Yes. So I have taken a break from those streams that I desperately need to do to get my watch hours up to get remonetized after being canceled on YouTube. Um, in order to talk to folks who I know won't agree with me about 95% of issues, because we're out of time and I need them right now to start working right now on their own party while I start working right now on my own party. And behind the scenes, I'm having some conversations, uh, some productive, most not, but about changing the way we operate, at least as Michigan Democrats. I need you to do the same, even if Relax is not a member of the other side. Then folks who are listening who are, I need you to do the same. Because, for example, let's use Ted Cruz as an example. You could get somebody who votes the way Ted Cruz votes on everything, and I will hate every bit as much as I hate Ted Cruz, but doesn't flee the state every time there's a snowstorm. You could easily have that. It's Texas. There's plenty of Republicans. There's plenty of MAGA Republicans. There's no reason it needs to be Ted Cruz over and over again, but it is Ted Cruz over and over again. Because number one, he's heavily entrenched by big money. And number two, every time there's a criticism of Ted Cruz, they try to remind you how angry you are with us. And us is a shifting group, really, but anybody but Ted Cruz. And to demonstrate to you that I am not only focusing fire on your side about this. I said the same thing about Mallory McMurrow. Mallory McMurrow, the name won't mean anything to you. She's a Michigan Republican she's a Michigan progressive that she claims to be a progressive, that progressives around the country were actually pretty excited about. And a few streams back, we were heartbroken about the fact that we found she's lying to us. And that she is, in fact, not a woman of her word. She's not about the things she says she's about, and she's running the same scam with us that Ted Cruz runs with you. And so we can't trust her, and we have to make sure she does not get through these primaries in Michigan. Y'all, we have to do that with everybody. I did a poll the other day between two kinds of chats. If you're just joining the stream, the vertical chat tends to have a lot of MAGA folks in it, and the horizontal chat has a lot of progressive folks in it. So I polled both chats and I asked them the same question, two of them actually. The first question was, what percentage of Democrats over the last decade do you think? We're not going to look up the actual answer. We don't know the actual answer, but just based off your suspicions, what percentage of Democrats over the last decade committed an actual crime while in office? And both chats gave the same top two answers. They actually basically gave identical answers. And it was somewhere between 25 and 50%. Notably, nobody selected the lowest answer, the least amount of crime. Not one person from either chat. And it was a similar setup to now, where there's 60 people watching. To me, that's a big deal. Not any of them said that the answer was the lowest amount. Then I asked the same thing about Republicans. Over the last decade, what percentage of Republicans do you feel? So that's 2016 till now. This is the Trump era. The last decade, what percentage of Republicans do you feel committed a crime while in office? And both chats again gave the same answer. The same answers. I'm talking the same percentages. They had the same top answer. They had the same second answer. They had the same third answer, although technically speaking, the vertical chat tied as for their second and third answers. But the point is, in both cases, none of them selected the lowest possible option. None of them selected that. All of us do not trust our politicians. And that is the fundamental problem in America right now. It's not any of the issues the politicians try to get us fighting about. And hey, there's huge issues. It's taken a huge effort for me right now not to just rant and rant and rant about ICE. But that's not why I'm trying to talk to y'all. It's the wheel that keeps crushing us, that Daenerys Targaryen's trying to rip apart. We are consistently made to get angry with each other in order to avoid critiquing our own side, to having higher demands of our own side. And you don't have to even risk losing any power to be critical of your own side. Why are you talking to strangers? Well, you can't make peace with your friends, you know? You can't make I mean, you gotta talk to strangers in order to, convince them, and I happen to think that, we can help each other. I guess I'm talking to them for both unselfish reasons and selfish reasons. The unselfish reasons, on general principle, I consider, both of us to be victims of our parties, and I think we both, as voters, have unfair reputations with half the country because we are getting blamed for the incompetence of our leaders. And then, my selfish reasons. I have realized in recent days that I have a blind spot for what MAGA actually is. And while I am sure that our principles fundamentally at the end of the day will mean we're going to vote for different people, they can point out to us where we are being where we are inaccurate, just like we can point out to them where they're inaccurate. For example, somebody the other day called me a leftist liberal cuck, and I was very offended by the suggestion that I might be liberal. And if you don't understand why that is humorous, keep watching, and you will eventually get that progressives and liberals are not the same persons. Texas Pete's, I have no idea what you're talking about. Why did Democrats fight to not let women vote? Why did Democrats fight to not let blacks own firearms? Are you talking about pre-1960, before the party switch, when Democrats were the conservatives? Sincerely, I'm not trying to, bust your chops here. I genuinely wanna know, what are you referring to when you say that Democrats fought to not let women or blacks, have the same rights as everybody else? Uh Well, I'm still asking. So I guess that is the pre-party switch. So did the party switch happen before or after Jim Crow laws? You know, sadly, Jim Crow laws went on for so long. It began during Jim Crow laws and continued. I mean, some people would say it continued through the 70s. I would argue it continued all the way up till the 90s. The party switch. Uh, there was no party switch, you jackass. I mean, I am a jackass, but there was a party switch. So there was something called the what is it? The Southern Power. What is it? One second. Let me get the right name. Oh, what am I finding? Help me out here. Foxy's more educated than I. What was the policy that the Democrats were going to pursue to try to get racist voters? Y'all should know what I'm talking about in the horizontal. Southern strategy. The Southern strategy. Okay. So, um, Richard Nixon's Southern strategy was a political initiative during his 1968 and 1972 campaigns designed to win over white, socially conservative Southerners formerly loyal to the Democratic Party by opposing forced school desegregation and using coded law and order rhetoric. This approach shifted the South from solidly Democratic to Republican. Key components: coded language. Instead of explicitly racist appeals, the campaign used law and order rhetoric to appeal to white anxieties regarding urban riots and civil rights protests. Anti integration stance. Nixon's administration slowed federal desegregation efforts in Southern schools, judicial appointments. Nixon attempted to appoint conservative Southerners such as Clement Haynsworth and Harold Carswell to the Supreme Court, signaling a shift in legal approach to civil rights and long-term realignment. While targeting Southern whites, the strategy contributed to a broader long-term political realignment where the Republican Party became the dominant party in the South. The debate over strategy. Some interpretations argue the strategy was not merely about race, but rather an economic-based appeal to suburban middle-class voter base. Other interpretations suggest it was a cynical political calculation to secure a majority with minimal commitment to civil rights. Why are you so obsessed? Well, you asked the question. Oh, wait, no, you didn't ask the question. That was Texas Pete's. I'm sorry. You both have very similar thumbnails. No, there wasn't, and it's been proven many times. Now I'm not sure if you're responding to somebody else in the comment, but as I've just read to you, Texas Pete's, if you're still here, there was indeed. I mean, it's not a secret. It's just a matter of it's a matter of fact. There was something called the Southern Strategy by Richard Nixon, and it was an attempt to change the voting base of his party. And his party was the Republican Party until that point. You know, from Lincoln till Nixon, the Republican Party was supposed to be the Civil Rights Party. Now, this is an astute point from Texas Pete. This is a very astute point. Texas Pete says parties never switched. Democrats just changed the way they show their racism. I think we can take a moment in the horizontal stream to appreciate now. I'm going to brag about you, Texas Pete's. So hang out for a minute, I guess, and take your garlands, take your flowers, whatever. Horizontal stream. Do you see some of the value now in talking to conservatives, deeply conservative folks, MAGA folks? Do you see some of the value? Texas Pete's, what you're saying right here is the sort of thing some of my friends that wear berets and and never trust the white devil would agree with. I happen to agree with you 1,000% here. Daisha Hops, real quick, I'm gonna request that you not blaspheme. I'm an atheist myself. I imagine you're an atheist based on what I've read you say there. But we don't discriminate against people on a religious basis here. So please, even though it's fun sometimes, please refrain from blasphemy. And Robert Edwards says Jesus was black. I'm not sure how we're on this topic of conversation, but yes, I think he was as well. But I want to praise Texas Pete's. Texas Pete's said the parties never switched, which I don't agree with, actually, if I'm being honest with you here. But the rest I agree with. Democrats just changed the way they show their racism. 100% true. Democrats do not, as a party, they do not give a fuck about anybody's rights. They don't care about civil rights. They don't care about constitutional rights. I got to tell you, We are seeing now that the same is true of Republicans who apparently don't care about the 14th Amendment and apparently don't care about the First Amendment and apparently definitely don't care about the Second Amendment. But that's just because you guys are in the spotlight right now. Democrats don't give a fuck about any of us. Democrats voted to, 7 of them voted to continue funding ICE despite what they say in the streets. I'm not asking you to say that Democrats shouldn't, I'm not asking you to agree with the way Democrats believe. But if they believe the way if they believe the things they say they believe, then why are they voting to fund ICE? It's because they don't believe the things they say they believe. They say whatever is politically convenient to them in the moment, and they've been doing that to black people for my whole life. So you are 100% correct. Now, the one you're talking to progressives now, and this is going to never go away. I'm sorry, but we have a cultural thing which you're going to have to just brace yourself for. We will argue annoying little points all the time, and I'm going to do that with you now. The parties still switched, Republicans and Democrats. The parties did still switch, and when I say switch, what I mean is they changed their targeted base. So it was based around the integration at the time, basically. I don't know what to tell you beyond rereading that Richard Nixon, as the leader of the Republican Party at the time, specifically said they should use coded language instead of explicitly racist appeals to switch to a law and order rhetoric so that they could deliver the same message to suburban folks instead of, I'll be frank with you, hillbillies. And that brings up No One and Nothing, who says no such thing as racism. I kind of agree with you. Kind of. I would call certain behaviors, which I think we will both acknowledge take place, racist. And you would say those behaviors, I suspect you would say those behaviors are not racist. But the core point of what you're saying, that there's no such thing as racism, I can kind of get behind because of that Southern strategy we were just talking about. What was the point? Was it because Nixon hated integration? No, it wasn't. It was because Nixon was willing to stop integration to get different voters. In the 1860s, the rich plantation owners spent tons of effort riling up poor Southern whites, the rednecks, the hillbillies, about how dangerous a freed black population would be for them. And as a result, we got the Civil War. And who went and fought? The hillbillies, the poor Southern whites. They fought and died to keep black folks in chains. You say there's no such thing as racism. I think my argument with that would be racism is not actually the goal, even if they wink at you and tell you it is. The goal is the same goal that the Democrats have when they tell me what a danger you are. Just like, not just like, but the way your folks make scapegoats of other folks. Mallory McMurrow, to harp on her again, because she's from my state and we need to make sure she has no future in politics. Mallory McMurrow, to try to get me to not support universal health care, which I'm not asking you to support, but you should know that's a major tenet of my political party. She went on a rant about how awful Trump and RFK Jr. are, and then said, would you want them controlling your health care? The answer is yes, I would. if I stop and think about it. Why? Because they got elected, and I want the government to pay for my health care, not control the doctors, not be in charge of everything, but to simply replace the insurance companies. So, yes, Mallory McMurrow, that's exactly what I want. But she went out of her way to get me angry about those folks and thinking irrationally. That's the same thing that's happening to you constantly. When you guys refer to all immigrants as quote unquote illegals, I don't know that that's racism so much as you guys falling for propaganda. I mean, here's where we're going to disagree. I say I don't know that it's racism. I think that is racism, actually, to correct myself. But the purpose of it, the evil scheme, is not just to get brown people. It's to trick you, no one and nothing. It is to trick you into giving up your rights. Just like we did in 2003 when ICE was formed in the first place. It was a response to the war on terror because they were riling you up about Muslims. We were invading the wrong country. We're invading Iraq. Americans were scared and angry and mourning. And in the shadow of 9/11, they said, okay, well, we're going to do border security differently. We're going to make folks that don't have to respect the rights of Americans because it's such a scary time. And this will be temporary. 23 years later, quarter of a century later, here we are. It's not temporary. And Alex Preddy was killed for owning a gun. Didn't draw his gun. It's clear as day. Didn't put his hands on an officer. He was killed for being a gun owner. And right now, you guys are thinking, oh, good, we got one. You're not realizing that what you are ceding by saying that is your right to carry a gun in America. The very thing you've been accusing us of trying to take away from you this whole time because they only show you the Democrats who we don't agree with either. You guys are giving it up. You're just giving it away. You're also incidentally giving away First Amendment rights. It's a scam. I'm not even blaming you. I'm saying you are a victim just like I am a victim of Joe Biden, just like I was a victim of Barack Obama, and it's because we think it's more important to argue with each other than to have any sort of standards for how governments conduct themselves. Alex Preddy was a federal employee. He worked at the VA. It's just sad to see you guys switch so easily distracted. Donald James asks, would you vote for a Republican who campaigned on Medicare for all and taxing the rich? I want to ask the vertical also, please. I'm going to comb through these answers. Hey, everybody in vertical chat, please say nothing except an answer to this question, if you don't mind. Would you, in the vertical chat, vote for a Republican that campaigned on Medicare or Medicaid for all, basically universal health care, and paying for it by taxing the rich? I have to say, last year I would not have. This year I might. And it's going to depend on the state, to be totally blunt, so that Republicans don't feel like I'm saying something that they just want to hear and get all excited or whatever. It would depend on the state. In Michigan, I might, for sure. In New York, I might. Because I have a problem with the Michigan Democratic Party. I have a problem with the New York Democratic Party specifically. And the problem is, can I trust what they say? It's not that I disagree with the things they say. It's, can I trust that they mean it? And the short answer is no. So it's less of a risk to me to say, well, if there's a state representative or if there's a senator, let me put it like this. If it's between Mallory McMurrow, who I know is not for Medicare for all, and a Republican who says they are for Medicare for all, and the Republican says they're going to pay for it by taxing the rich, yeah, I would vote for that Republican over Mallory McMurrow, who claims to be a progressive. Yeah, is the short answer. That is, that it's a possibility. You're saying, "Would you?" I do wanna be clear, it's unlikely. And there are things that the Republican could say that would make me, not support them also, if they were, even if they were Medicare for all and paying for it by taxing, Bill Gates. Um, there are things they could say that would make me not vote for them. But to be the I think the headline that I would like, y'all in the vertical to appreciate, even if you're not going for my vote, but you're just curious to know what the soul of, the supposed opposition is. Yes, you could be a Republican and get my vote with those 2 things, and you're very astute, Donald James X, for naming those 2 things, because those are basically the only 2 things that could get me, on board. But if they said that's what they're about, actual economic populism, sure, absolutely. Bigfoot wheelchair, the education system failed you. I don't know if that's fair to the education system. It failed a lot of Americans. It's failed a lot of Michiganders. The No Child Left Behind policy was a disaster, but I personally was kind of hopeless from the start. I don't know if that's fair to put on the education system. Texas Pete's, all this taxing the rich shit, the rich pay most of the taxes. I don't know why it's so hard for y'all to understand. Because it's simply not true, is the answer. They pay less taxes as a percentage of their income than literally anybody else. A lot of them pay no taxes at all. And even if you're looking at total taxes collected, they don't pay more than anybody else. There's basically no way you could measure how much somebody pays in taxes that aligns with your beliefs here. And that I mean, you should eh, note that and work on that. And if I'm wrong, you got to show me. But I don't think. Um, I mean, you're just operating. You've been given wrong information, and that might not be your fault. There's a lot of work that goes into making it seem like they have some sort of a burden, but they really don't. Um, the percentage of taxes that the wealthy pay, the top paid Americans pay, has gone down steadily since the '60s. Donald James X with a good point. I don't give a what party you're in. I will identify it if you are a racist. Yeah, yeah. Or if they're being dishonest about their policies. All right, let's see if y'all did what I asked and answered the question. DJX, did you? Hey, Pinkerbell, did you see anybody answering that questions? Oh, this is a good point. Oh, except for one part. Jeff Gamer, I need you to know the truth here. But otherwise, I like a lot of what you're saying. The Epstein files came out, and your boy Billy didn't like what they said. The more important question is, where are the restaurants for the Clintons? Well, the first part of the sentence. He's not my boy Billy. He's a neoliberal. He's a liberal, if you like. He's not my boy. I will help you in any way I can to put that prick in jail. I think he is a child diddler and needs to go away to prison for the rest of his life. Don't call him my boy. Bubba is arguably closer to your boy than mine because Donald Trump paid for his campaigns before. But I know that's unfair. You don't like the guy, you never have. I don't like the guy. And I haven't at least since I was an adult. When I was a kid, I thought it was charming that he played the saxophone. I can admit that. But we don't want a dude that charms kids and is known for being on the Epstein files. So no, he is not my boy. Did anybody respond to Donald James X's question? Hey, the reference frame. I don't see anybody answering his question. Would you? I'm going to ask it again. In the vertical chat, would you uh vote for a Republican? Yeah, hell yeah. We got lots of yeses. Hey, we got Kowalski in here. What? I'm looking. I'm looking for Kowalski. He's got a hell of a channel. Yeah, Scout's putting it correctly. It's always been a class war. All this other crap that they're so good at getting us to holler about is just so that we can put off the class war for another day. And if you want to know how I really genuinely feel, go watch the end of my last stream, the last 4 minutes of my last stream, and you'll have it. Now, see, this is what I'm talking about. CRXR-B5I. What planet are you people from? If you fight the police while armed or run into them with your vehicle, you're getting ventilated, shaking my head. As far as Renee Good goes, she was rightly fleeing for her life, and she said, "I'm not mad at you, dude." She turned her wheel as far as one could turn it and went from 0 to 1 mile an hour away before she was shot multiple times by a panicky little punk. I don't know who you think fought police, but all Kyle Preddy did is help a woman out of the snow, and then he was maced, beaten, thrown down. He had his gun taken away, and then he was shot in the back while unarmed multiple times. He was killed for owning a gun. You have been lied to. And the fact that you phrase things like this tells me you are either willfully lying to me or you are a victim of a lie, but stop being a victim. You don't have to agree with me that ICE's operations are immoral, unethical, should not exist, that ICE should be abolished. You don't have to agree with me about any of that stuff to acknowledge that those ICE officers fucked up and that Kristi Noem lied to you about it. That's just the reality. And when people hear you uh, misconstrue the situation in the way that you are, they won't take anything you have to say seriously because they will say, okay, this person is unable to understand reality or is unwilling, and there's no point in talking to them. And that is, I think, by design. Because when you and I start talking, you and I can pick out then the people in our parties that we can work together, or fuck, we don't even have to work together at that point. We can just identify the people in our parties who are lying to us. Let me offer you some red meat. Again, last stream, I said, help us come up with a way to stop Gavin Newsom's career. We hate Gavin Newsom. You all might have heard about him in the headlines recently. You are fucking amateurs about hating Gavin Newsom. You hate Gavin Newsom as, oh, I'm going to dip my toe in the water. Maybe this guy is a bit of a prick. I've been hating him thoroughly and passionately for at least 5 years. We need your help. We need to help each other. Oh, what's up, Dell? What's up, global solidarity now? What's up, everybody? So that's a question. Oh wait, now Trucking Noob says that's not a Republican. Interesting. Are you referring to if they supported Medicare for all? Because I got to tell you, who in the vertical chat knows who wrote the yeah, this is a good point. Please be careful not to vote for those who are not trustworthy, says Dominico. True. That's actually a big part of the reason why I'm trying to get us to talk to MAGA right now. Because we got primaries coming up, and we got to, as Jordan Peterson would say, clean our own room. So when we get through these primaries, I don't want to be offering as an alternative to whatever's in power. I don't want to be offering a bunch of centrist Dems, because then I'm saying just return back to the bad old days. Just give us the same kind of fucking over we're getting right now, but with a Democratic flavor. Oh, Myron beat you to it. Yeah, the rich have all the money. Yeah. Yeah. The rich pay less by rates and percentages. Yeah. Overall taxes, they pay less. And also by percentage of their income, they pay less. And also the top 0.0001% of Americans, less than 130,000 people, own 15% of all the country's wealth. Jeff Bezos made enough money last year to buy to solve the homeless crisis. Every time you see a bum in the street and it's slightly unpleasant for you, just remember that Jeff Bezos could have made that non-existent. Yeah, Caleb Guillory says Israel's universal health care is paid for 100% by us. Us. But we don't give it to our own citizens. It looks like we didn't get any answers to that question. Oh, make it a poll. That's smart, Pink. That's good thinking. All right, gang. I'm sorry. I'm a little new to this, but I'm gonna do what Pink is saying so I can. Yeah, I agree. Mifo7706 says, I don't think the Democrats are acting any better. And I don't know who this other person is. I didn't see their comment. I don't care what their comment is. You could have their comment could have been, I think Republicans are out there hunting people for sport and cannibalizing them. And I still don't think the Democrats are any better. Well, 7 of them voted to continue funding the murder of people. Corn. And I'm not trying to be I think I understand what you will say in response to this, which is, well, you're talking about the Democrats so harshly, but there's a difference in the amount. There's a difference in the amount of evil each party's doing. And you might have a point. But as far as I'm concerned, we're talking about liars, fundamentally. The fundamental problem is, are they lying to us, their own voters, about what they believe? And that's where I don't see a difference. I agree with this. Ice melts in hell, too. Yep. Yeah, so they go out there and they pretend like they give a shit. But then 7 of them. Yeah. And then here you go. Again, I'm not asking folks in the vertical stream to agree with these, to agree with our politics, just to acknowledge who we don't like within the Democratic Party. Because I see you guys accusing us of being liberals, and we hate them more than you do. I know you think you hate them, but you hate them in a way we find cute. Your version of hate for these people is like a White Claw, whereas we're drinking that good old fashioned country distilled White Lightning of hatred for these people. Anthony Tripp says Schumer and Booker are pro genocide. Yeah. And I'll just add names to that list. Biden's pro genocide. Harris is pro genocide. All Harris had to do to win my town was allow, at the Democratic National Convention, my representative to speak. She's the only Palestinian in all of Congress. All Harris had to do was let Rashida Tlaib speak. She's a Democrat. So let her talk at the Democrat National Convention, the one Palestinian, a person of Palestinian descent. That's all Kamala Harris had to do. But she didn't. Dude, don't play with my emotions. Did Jesus give us a gift today? Hold on. Please, please, please. Oh, come on. He's fine. Well, I know better. I wasn't cheering on murder. I was cheering on hopefully like a heart attack or something. I don't care for Bill Clinton. Nina Canadian, a 21st Republican A 21st century Republican must maintain a lawful judicial system. The masked and armed personnel sent by federal government are not police officers. They are agents. Good point. Police are trained in public safety. Yeah, exactly. This has been an utter disgrace for a lot of reasons. Anthony Tripp bringing up a fair point, but not accurate. And I'll tell you why it is fair despite not being accurate. Fair because the people he mentions do indeed. I didn't mention them, and they are part of those that oppose funding Israel. But they're obviously not the only ones. The main people that oppose funding to Israel are progressives. The only people that vote against it are libertarian leaning folks like Massey and Rand Paul and progressives. And that's notable. So Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is with Massey and Rand Paul on that. Rashida Tlaib is with Massey and Rand Paul on that. Ro Khanna, I think, might be, but I think Ro Khanna is a faker. I don't trust Ro Khanna. In the same way, for a while, I didn't trust and now don't trust Mallory McMurrow. Why the lightning gotta be white? All right, fair point. Clear lightning. Bella Lugracie, what's up, man? Anarchism is founded on the observation that since few men are wise enough to rule themselves, even fewer are wise enough to rule others. Edward Abbey, fair point. Mark R. 9193 says Michelle Obama has a penis, banana. Democrats, Black Queen, bottoms up, Democrats, banana. Look, I'm sure you haven't thought about getting on your knees and slowly opening your mouth and lowering your head in front of Michelle Obama as she writhes sensually on satin sheets in front of you. I'm sure that's never entered your mind before, and I don't see why you're talking about her now, but I'm sure it has nothing to do with that. Milk sandwiches. If you stole every cent from financially successful Americans, it wouldn't fund the garbage spending of our government for 3 months. The financially successful are not keeping you poor. They literally are. And I can tell you how. So they vote for the government to fund their gambling. When they gamble on the stock market and eventually lose, like with the financial crash in 2008, we deregulate and deregulate and deregulate. They fund campaigns. These are called oligarchs. They fund campaigns for people that will agree to deregulate them. Those are called neoliberals, and those consist of both Republicans and Democrats. That's actually your average U.S. politician. And those are the very people who pretend to believe what we believe, but actually they're just working for these folks. So they fund politicians who will agree to deregulate various industries that the oligarchs are in. When the oligarchs then can make more money by dumping chemicals into your backyard or taking off any safety procedures involved in a process, or simply they're, things like they're not allowed to be investigated for insider trading, stuff like that. They make more money off of it, and then they bribe politicians to argue to lower their taxes, and then they, so on and so forth. Pay to play, as they call it. So that they end up increasing the chances that they will continue to be financially successful by using their initial success to bribe politicians. And that's an oligarchy, what I'm describing. That is the U.S. system of government right now. It is an oligarchy. It's uncomfortable for us to acknowledge that, but it's not hidden. These are just laws that are on our books, and the accurate way to describe it is an oligarchy. And that's what we got to undo. That's why I'm talking to you. That's why, because let me put it like this. If you and I are both in agreement that George Soros, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, the Koch brothers, et cetera, should not be able to buy uh, elections anymore. It's not enough. It's not enough. If one of our parties wins on that platform, even if it's not going to happen, but if I had every one of my politicians, every single Democrat agree to the things I believe, it's not enough because we need to overturn something called Buckley v. Vallejo, a Supreme Court decision, and a law called, another Supreme Court decision called Citizens United. And we need to overturn those with a 2/3 vote. So you don't have enough people in your party, and I don't have enough people in my party to hit that 2/3 vote. This has to be across parties, which means I got to convince you that the people in your party are lying to you. And it turns out, no, I don't, because we did a poll the other day about the criminality of both parties. And it turns out we're in exact agreement. I mean, I polled a very progressive audience and a very right-wing audience. And the answers were the same in both chats. You guys acknowledge, yeah, we're led by a bunch of lying thieves. And we have no illusions either. We know we're led by a bunch of lying thieves. So the answer here is the primaries. And I know you're not going to vote for ours. And I'll be frank with you, we're not going to vote for yours. But what we can do is make sure that in both of our primaries, nobody gets through that supports George Soros, Bill Gates, the Koch brothers, AIPAC giving money to a politician, any politician. Nobody supports those people. Nobody takes money from those people. We have to make that a poison pill, that if you take that money, you are guaranteed not to get our votes. That's going to require work on both of our parts. And it sucks for you to hear, I know, because you guys right now are in power. You can stay in power. You can make it easier to stay in power. But it doesn't do you any good, as I just learned from Joe Biden, and I learned again. I had to learn it again because I first learned from Barack Obama. It doesn't do you any good to have your people in power if they're just lying to you to get there, because then they do not serve your interests. I'm glad to hear this, Anthony Tripp. I'm conservative, but I respect Ro Khanna and Joe Neguse. Here's why I have a problem with Ro Khanna. I think in order to get you to respect him, he lied to me. And even if he has your respect, he is still a liar. And he could be lying to you about the things that got you to respect him. Now, I'll say this. I'm less sure about Ro Khanna, and I don't want to waste time heckling somebody I'm not sure about. And if you see good things about him, I'd like you hanging around here at the very least so you can remind me of them when he comes up in conversation and we can examine it earnestly. But I am very skittish about any politician who says one thing and then does another. And especially if they're telling me they are a progressive. Because at this point in history, if you are a progressive, you got to be about the principle of the thing. Because we have never had a progressive president. We haven't even had a progressive governor. I'm not aware of a progressive mayor of any city. I'm sure they have existed, but I'm not aware of any. So if you're a progressive, all we have is our principles. And to lie about those is a violation of a sacred thing, I think. CT Hawk says, I'd like to see the government take back control from the big corporations and actually do what we voted for them to do. 100% agree. I'd like to see some corporations get nationalized. For example, I think there should be nationalized telecommunication. We rely on the internet for emergency services, like directions. Imagine this. How are you going to get directions out of town if you know one of these huge snowstorms is coming? Well, you're going to use Google Maps or Apple Maps, God help you, Waze, whatever they have. You're going to use some map application to get you out of town. And that requires internet use, data. I think we should be nationalizing some of these services, just like just like the roads are a national thing. It's between y'all. I bet you've read Howard Zinn. I've heard the name. Let me look it up. Maybe I have. I got to tell you, I read a lot and I don't talk about it a lot because I don't understand most of what I read. An American historian is Howard Zinn. And veteran of World War II. Interesting. Oh, he was at Spelman. Oh, what are some of his books? A People's History of the United States. A Young People's History of the United States. All right, he's got a series of books called The People's History. I'll have a gander. I got to jump to the bottom. I'm so far behind. Oh, yeah, I'm with Anthony Tripp on this. Absolutely nationalize the oil industry. It's the people's land. I agree. If it's a natural resource that is our own resource that's being resold to us, that should be nationalized. I mean, Venezuela nationalized their oil before we effing took them over. And can you guess how much they paid, even though it's more expensive to refine Venezuelan oil than it is basically all other oil on Earth? It's not good oil, it's crude oil, but still, I don't know the correct terms. But anyway, how much were they paying, do you reckon, per gallon? I'll just tell you, 4 cents. 4 cents a gallon. Sold at cost to the Venezuelan people because it's theirs. Hell yeah, CT Hawk. Breaking news, baby oil, the official sponsor of the Democratic Party and Republican, who hasn't released the Epstein files yet. We're both going to burn in hell. But hey, at least we'll have each other as horrible company. Ooh, Tammany Hall is good for all Americans to learn about. Best political book, Plunkett of Tammany Hall. Fair. Well, let's have a gander, folks, at what I was talking, what the title of the stream is. And I'm sorry we're an hour in before we got there. It is very easy. Yes, this is why it's easy, because people say things I agree with. They are all pedo bastards. Every last one of the motherfuckers. I am willing to replace basically everyone in the Democratic Party. I hope you are too with the Republican Party, because the Epstein files are 40 days overdue with no end in sight. Puerto Rico's pissed off because they think they should be the 51st state. It was kind of weird that we went straight to let's take over Canada. We never even considered Puerto Rico, just straight up asking them. Or the Greenland thing. Anyway, let's see if Trump is over the 2020 election yet.
We continue at this hour to follow breaking news. It is coming out of Atlanta. FBI agents are executing a search warrant at the Fulton County, Georgia election offices in Atlanta. Another indication that the White House continues to maintain the 2020 election was stolen. Georgia officials continue to say it was not. Let's go right to our Scripps News legal affairs correspondent, Avajoy Burnett, who's tracking the developments from Atlanta. And Avajoy, tell us what you're seeing, what you're hearing.
Yeah, this is something that really caught many people off guard. We're now hearing, as you mentioned, that the FBI has executed the search warrant at this facility in Georgia, Fulton County, Georgia. And many people may remember Fulton County as being the site where former President Donald Trump, along with at least more than a dozen other people, faced criminal charges, accusations that they tried to interfere with the results of the 2020 election. You're seeing a video, you're seeing a piece of video right now out of.
So real quick, in case you forgot, Donald Trump was desperately on the phone with Brad Raffensperger, trying to get Georgia to do another recount where they found him 11,000 votes. Found him. He wanted them to say that he won, even though he very clearly didn't. In case you forgot that, because it's 6 years ago now, but he has not let it go.
Georgia, as FBI agents walk around this particular facility. It's Georgia Fulton County Election Office. And the really quick note that we got as confirmation from the FBI about the search, it's really simple. They said they can confirm that agents are executing a court-authorized law enforcement action at this particular facility. You see, it says it right there, registration and elections. And as I was mentioning, Dale, Fulton County is a significant place really in the history of the United States, because that's where the district attorney, Fani Willis, back just a few years ago, brought state charges against Donald Trump. Donald Trump at the time was running to be president once again, and Fani Willis made accusations that he took steps to interfere with the 2020 election results. There were several
let's just keep playing.
Other people who were named on that indictment. It was so wide ranging. It was a RICO indictment. There were people like Rudy Giuliani who were named as co-defendants there. Mark Meadows, for example. And that case took many twists and turns because District Attorney Fani Willis was eventually disqualified from continuing with that prosecution because of accusations that she had an inappropriate relationship with a special prosecutor who she...
Real quick, have you noticed that the ways this guy was attacking Fani Willis had nothing to do with the actual case? Nothing to do with the facts, nothing to do with whether or not he attempted to steal the election. Everything to do with personal attacks. Oh, she's a Democrat. Okay. Oh, she has a relationship with a physical relationship with somebody else who's on her team. Okay, so they're both against you regardless. So what are you talking about? That's the way a guilty man behaves. He had racketeering charges because he's a gangster. He's not an honest man. He's a liar. We heard a phone call. You know what? Let's just play it. I'm going to keep playing this. I'm going to look something up. You might be interested.
Put on this case. And then in November of last year, the new prosecutor who was put in charge of this case said that they would not continue with any criminal charges in this matter. So that matter was effectively dropped against the former president. A big win for him, his attorney.
So I'm trying to convince you. So I'll use some of the charisma that I think you guys will like. So listen, what Trump did was lose the election in Georgia because he handled COVID incompetently. And then, the economy incompetently as well. And then what he did was try to pressure Brad Raffensperger to find him the votes that would say he won.
The Times sent out a simple message saying that it was good that that prosecution was dropped against.
Oh, and of course, when he was in office, then he got the criminal case against him dropped by his own FBI. Hey, Elaine.
President Donald Trump. And if you thought all of this was over, we now see this matter bubbling up again, where it appears as if the administration wants to continue to look into the possibility of election interference in Fulton County. But now the tables have turned. Now it seems as if they are going against the local officials there, the election officials there, continuing with allegations that there was election interference because the president did not win that state in the 2020 election. We must note, Del, that the previous attorney general for the United States said that there was no finding of wrongdoing in Fulton County. But even so, we now see that this new administration is moving ahead and possibly will continue with some sort of investigation into Fulton County after really a long-standing back and forth and accusations that local folks in that jurisdiction did something wrong, even though we saw in previous findings that that was not the case. Dal?
And Eva Joy, we are now starting to get some sound coming out of Fulton County, Georgia. Let's take a listen to what officials there are saying.
Before we take a listen to what officials there are saying, let me see what C-SPAN's got here.
I think you're going to find that they are shredding ballots because they have to get rid of the ballots because the ballots are unsigned. The ballots are corrupt. And they're brand new and they don't have seals. And there's a whole thing with the ballots, but the ballots are corrupt. And you're going to find that they are, which is totally illegal. It's more illegal for you than it is for them because you know what they did and you're not reporting it. That's a criminal offense.
So there's Trump threatening Raffensperger. He's saying, if I come out on top, we're going to treat you like you're a criminal.
And you can't let that happen. That's a big risk to you and to Ryan, your lawyer. That's a
threatening the lawyer.
Big risk.
Secretary Raffensperger, after making a false claim about shredding of ballots, the president suggested that you may be committing a crime by not going along with his claims of election fraud. And after suggesting that you might have criminal exposure, President Trump makes his most explicit ask of the call. Let's play a part of that conversation.
So, look, all I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes.
He lost by 11,779 votes.
Which is one more than we have, because we won the state.
His evidence for we won the state is just him saying we won the state. And he wants this guy to produce some fictional number to go with his lie. You can support Trump. I don't know why you would, but you can support Trump and still acknowledge that he was lying just then and that what he was doing just then is illegal. But when that plays, and I haven't even looked at the comments yet, but I assume I know what's going to be there. When that plays and you deny the reality in front of your eyes, that is why people in your lives have turned to you less and less for your opinion on things. That is why people in your lives don't take you very seriously. Because you behave irrationally. Because you are unwilling or unable, perhaps, to deal with reality. And there's no point in even if they don't take it personally, there's no point in trying to come up with a plan with somebody who's just behaving as though fairy tales that people that take billionaire bribes tell them are real. What would be the value in making a plan with you? Because you're not going to react to anything that happens in reality. You're going to wait for one of these people to tell you what you believe, no matter how cartoonish it is. And then you'll go along with that. And you'll support this. Georgia getting raided by the FBI. And you won't even stop and note, what party is Brad Raffensperger in? What party is he in? You guys are praising the death of, what was it? Alex Petit. Oh, no, Alex Preddy. You're praising his execution. Ignoring the fact that he was executed for being a gun owner. And Trump said, well, he shouldn't have had a gun. And he's got you all repeating, well, he shouldn't have brought a gun. Bear in mind, he didn't brandish a gun. At no point did he take it out. He had his cell phone out. That's all. He was killed for being a gun owner. So you don't acknowledge the fact that a Republican is getting chased down by Trump's FBI. Gun owners are being killed and told that they shouldn't be gun owners if they don't want trouble. Happened at the very first day of this year. Keith Porter Jr., a hillbilly, shot a gun into the air, and then his ICE neighbor came out and killed him for it. Gun ownership is actually under threat under Trump. It was never under threat with Democrats, no matter what they told you. Because we had other stuff on our plates. Gun ownership is under threat under Trump. Any Republican, like, for example, Brad Raffensperger, who doesn't go with whatever Trump has to say, they're under threat of investigation. Now ask yourself this. Why isn't there a big demand for the Epstein files right now? They're 40 days overdue. Why isn't there a big demand for the legal release of the Epstein files? Pam Bondi is in violation 40 times over for not releasing the Epstein files on time. Why is that happening? You know. Trump won't let it happen. Your boy, as they say, is the problem. But he's the problem for you, not for us. We already thought he was a snake, and we are not going to vote Republican regardless. So why is he a problem for you? Because he is doing the very thing Obama did for us. Quick question. Did you know that Ashley Babbitt voted for Obama before she died for Trump? Did you know that? Let me repeat it because I think a lot of you don't appreciate what this means. Ashley Babbitt was an Obama voter that then voted for Trump. Why would somebody do that? She died for Trump. Why would somebody do that? I think I see the through line. Obama promised change, and so did Trump. He promised that he would drain the swamp. They both lied. And the difference is, and I offer you essentially my throat politically, the difference is you have a chance to prevent Trump from becoming your Obama. He is your Obama right now. You have a chance to save the second half of his presidency. And that is by not falling for the same bullshit we did. If you go on supporting every little lie he tells without ever choosing to think critically, you will get nothing that was promised. And if you think, oh, this guy's crazy, well, let me ask you this. Where's your wall? Why haven't you even mentioned the wall? Wasn't Mexico going to pay for a wall that went from one end to the other of the border? What the hell happened? You got the House, the Senate, and the presidency right now. Where's that wall? Nowhere. Because you all stopped asking for it. He kept saying it'll be here in 2 weeks. And then you got exhausted. And a decade has gone by since he first said that's what he was going to bring you. He's your Obama, and that's not a good thing. We are not happy about Obama. We, in fact, despise Obama over here on the left. We also despise Bill Clinton, but Bill Clinton, by the point that Obama was around, we already knew was a snake. Obama hurt. Obama hurt. Because we thought he was on the level. He really seemed like it. And he kept us going right up till the end, basically. He kept us thinking, oh, but on his way out of office, when on the very last day, he's going to sign a bunch of things that are those things we like. Never happened. That's going to be y'all. And as a result, you will probably be led by Democrats. You won't believe me today, but remember this moment in 4 years when you see somebody who's either an ex-Democrat who's running as a Republican at the top of your ticket, or you find yourself literally unable to vote for the dissolved Republican Party and you have to just do the new conservatives as Democrats. Stuff like that's not out of the possibility, because your guy now is behaving exactly like Obama did then. He is winking at your morals, but not actually following up with them at all. Yeah, Obama was awful. Obama nearly doubled the national debt. I got to be frank with you. I don't care as much about the national debt, but it's, whatever. It's a critique. I'll take it. I'm looking for any excuse to say mean things about Obama. Obama nearly doubled the national debt. He also had an average of 7.4% unemployment rate. I'm not sure if that would be accurate. His best year was 4.7%. Whatever. I don't need to get that far into the details. I'll just take the double the national debt and harp on him for that. Yeah. Let me tell you how he doubled the national debt. Of course you don't care. Well, wait a minute. How is it I keep finding these dill holes? Well, probably because you have bad taste. If I'm in your feed, it speaks very poorly to your overall taste. But I do care. There's too much that Bud Russell is pointing out for me to talk about all at once. And to be honest, I'm not sure how he's getting the 7.4% unemployment rate, yada yada yada. And I don't need to, because I don't need 1,000 things to criticize him for. Once you find out a guy shouldn't be in charge, you can just stop there. You can just say, yeah, okay, he shouldn't be in charge. We don't need to go over it again and again and again. But let's just focus on the thing I do know about, which is the national debt. And Age of Crocodillicent says, nails it. He did the bailouts with Bush. Yeah. That is exactly why and how Obama doubled the national debt. Obama in 2008 had to bail out the banks, and he had two ways he could have done it. He could have done it the way a progressive would have, wherein you simply cover the bills for anybody that couldn't pay their bills to the banks, thus keeping the banks out of foreclosure themselves. Pretty reasonable. There was a crisis. There was a financial crisis. The real estate market was collapsing. And the reason it was collapsing was because Wall Street was making bets on the bets that banks were making when they handed out mortgages. So basically, banks would hand out mortgages, and they were doing ninja loans at the time. That's no income, no job. So giving loans to people that were unlikely to be able to pay them back. And then they were not only selling, letting people bet on that in the stock market, but they were letting people bet on the outcomes of those bets. So with $1, there could be like 30 different dollars riding on whether or not somebody paid that back. We're getting in the weeds here. Just to stick to the point, Obama had two ways he could have dealt with this. Number one, pay the people who could not pay for their loans. Cut them a check, say, I get it. This was an F up. We're going to cover this. Instead, he paid the banks. And in paying the banks, he did not set stringent rules. He just said, how much are you short? Oh, $500 billion? Okay. Signed. After he did that, and in part because he did not set any sort of, conditions on handing out your money to the banks, what did they do? Well, they paid their CEOs off. They did stock buybacks. Some CEOs that they fired, they used the money to pay for their golden parachute, the several $100 million that they got for getting fired for being incompetent. So tons of that money that we gave to bail out the banks did not go back into the economy like it would have if you would have given it to the people to pay off their loans. Instead, what happened is the people that lost their homes still lost their homes and had no homes. So now you have a bunch of people out there driving up the price of rent because they have to, they got to pay rent. You also had a bunch of people out there driving down the wages for the average job because they desperately needed jobs. They just lost their homes. Now they got to pay rent. And oh, those rent prices are going up. What would have happened instead if Obama would have given them the money directly is they would have spent it. They would have spent it paying off their loans. If it was a windfall that they weren't expecting, which it obviously would have been, they also might have gone out to dinner. They might have bought a new pair of pants. They might have bought a new car. They might have spent it totally irresponsibly on pixie sticks and lemon drops, but they still would have returned it to the U.S. economy as opposed to keeping that money unproductive in the bank account of somebody who already has hundreds of millions to tens of billions of dollars. It was financial incompetence that I would expect to see from a Republican, and I was disappointed to see from Barack Obama, who said he was all about change. Who asked that? Yeah, Bud Russell, thank you for mentioning that Obama nearly doubled the national debt. I will try to get educated on the unemployment rates. But again, I stress, you all have correctly assessed. I'm not terribly bright. I can't just read a paragraph in front of you and fully understand what it says all the time. So I will need to take time to get familiar. Oh, God, yeah. How war is peace. How about these 50-year mortgages, huh? They're trying to make you sharecroppers. Russell Holscher says rich people are supported by money earned by workers, not by handing them more money. Yes, that's it exactly, Russell. Yes. And it's not just the initial dollar generated that I'm talking about either. I mean, you're correct, and now I want to take it farther. It's not just that. But it's also not just money earned by workers, but money spent by customers. And if you're rich, generally speaking, your customers have less money than you. So if you're millionaire rich, as opposed to billionaire rich, you make more money when the poor get tax breaks, as opposed to the rich, even though you're one of the rich. And the reason a millionaire rich person gets more money as opposed to a billionaire rich person is because the millionaire rich person's customers turn up more, buy their service more, give them all some of that lovely tax break money that they got. Hey, Jay Dizzle, what does that tell you? Never trust a politician. So true. Hey, man, I would love at some point to talk to you about some of the comments you left on the other video. I thought they were astute points, but I have my own corrections. I don't know. I feel like we have interesting conversations, and I've been searching literally for years for folks like you, for folks who I know disagree with me politically, but are willing to, do a cold assessment of the situation. Anytime, hell yeah. All right. But basically speaking, I'm not asking you. I did say mean things about ICE agents. I meant mean things about ICE agents, but I didn't want to leave you with the impression that I don't think they deserve rights as workers. I 100% do. I will say, and I'll just this was a comment Jay Dizzle put up the other day. I was talking about how ICE, I feel, was ill-equipped, bringing their shoes from home and such for going to a Midwestern state in the dead of winter. And Jay Dizzle accurately brought up that they were given a stipend to buy their own equipment. My somewhat annoying point that I want to toss back your way to consider is that that's still not the way a serious organization should be outfitting somebody to go patrol streets. because you're still asking presumably someone from California, Arizona, or whatever to purchase their own equipment. So to have a sense of what is even needed. And then maybe they got a checklist of things, and maybe they even got recommended stores. But even if they had a checklist, and even if they had recommended places to buy from so they know they're getting reliable products, and even yada, 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 they still have to do the negotiations themselves. They're still paying the sort of prices you and I would pay for this gear. It's passing the buck onto them. It's saying, okay, well, we'll approve this much money. And we'll just say that if they can't get their gear for that amount of money from the place that they're in, like, for example, if you're from a warm state and you're trying to buy cold weather gear in a place where they don't sell it regularly, so you got to get it shipped in from wherever. Without harping on it again and again, my point is just that these folks in charge, from where I'm sitting, seem to not really care about the cause and effect, and they don't care about the practicalities. Like, for example, you're poor. You signed up for ICE because you're poor. They give you, let's say, a $300 check and say, go buy all the gear you need. And you think, I'll be fine. I got a good pair of shoes. They say I need cold weather boots, but I got a good pair of shoes. So I'm gonna pocket this money and I'm just gonna go. That's a very normal thing to do. That's the kind of dumbass thing I would do, to be honest. Still gonna give you frostbite. Still gonna be the reason why you only have 8 toes. That's the sort of behavior I would expect to see from an administration which is not actually interested in the health or safety of their employees, but is instead just looking to shirk responsibility for those things and to call it their own employees' fault when things go wrong. And I'll be frank with you, I'm not going to advocate for their rights very strongly. If people send me to Minnesota to go, if specifically the right-wing audience sends me to Minnesota, sure, then I'll stand by my word, and I will tell them to their faces that, hey, even though we disagree, I think you should unionize because I think Kristi Noem doesn't care about you, and so you have to care about each other because I don't care about you, and no one else in America, from what I could see, actually cares about you. The people that say they support you, I have not seen stop and consider your actual needs as human beings. So it's literally only you that cares about you. I will tell them that. But what is a more realistic path to these human beings being taken care of, Jay Dizzle, is you. If you start caring about them. If you don't just say, we love ICE, we support ICE, but you think critically about the situation they are in and why they are there and who is either supporting them or not. And I don't mean in terms of sentiment. I mean in terms of how things are run. Bobby says 3 more years. I am so pumped. And then we have Vance Rubio for 8. The winning never stops. I'm so sad to see that you think you're winning, Bobby. I'm so sad that you think Vance or Rubio is even of the same cloth as Trump, cut from the same cloth. Oh God, that hurts, dude. All right, let me just tell you a little bit about these guys. Rubio is old school GOP. I think you're right. I think you do have Vance or Rubio for 8 years, and I'm desperately trying to get you guys to avoid that trap. Marco Rubio was once considered one of the young guns and of the Republican Party, and he was basically a shoo-in for leadership along with your former Speaker of the House and some other nutsack. But he's a standard issue, old-fashioned GOP Republican of the sort that Trump got into power in the first place to overthrow. Now, Vance is a new breed of Republican that is neither MAGA nor old school GOP like Rubio is. Vance is a servant of Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel is the guy that literally replaces his blood with a young man's blood every once in a while. He's a psychopath running something called Palantir, which spies on you and me. Mostly me, but also you quite a bit. J.D. Vance is in power because he has been funded by Peter Thiel. These dudes are both ideologically in opposition to Donald Trump in terms of how they vote, in terms of how they try to divide up power, in terms of their view of what the executive branch should be doing. And the fact that you are pumped for 3 more years of Trump, and then you think it's winning to have 8 years of Vance or Rubio, it should alarm you. And if it doesn't alarm you, I hope it alarms some of your fellows in the vertical chat who can maybe have a serious discussion about what you want the future of your party to look like. I'll tell you this. If Gavin Newsom, the California Democrat, is the presidential nominee for the Democratic Party in 2028, I will not be voting Democratic. And I say this despite knowing we could have a nightmare scenario of J.D. Vance, a.k.a. Peter Thiel's little bitch boy, in the White House. But I will not vote for Gavin Newsom. Because it doesn't help us to get somebody who is pretending to be on our side in office. It doesn't help us. It doesn't help me. It doesn't help you. But I'm not concerned about you in that case. I'm concerned about me in that case. Because it's my guy, theoretically. We can't do that. Last time I did that, Joe Biden, maybe not never again. Yeah, never again. I just can't do it. Because he did a genocide. He killed the families of my neighbors. That's not an exaggeration. Somebody I supported, let me just be totally crystal clear about this. Somebody I supported, somebody who I helped put into power, killed the family of somebody who I say hello to every day. I am partially responsible for the death of my neighbor's family, and I will never, there's nothing I can do in my life that will make up for that. There's nothing in my, it doesn't matter how much good I manage to do with the rest of my days. I helped kill his family. You don't need to carry that weight on your soul like this. You really don't. You just have to be the slightest bit critical of your own side. Yeah, and no Fetterman, too. Thank you. I wish I understood what any of this was. Yeah. Well, now, wait a minute. Now, I'm not trying to be a dick. This could actually just be Creo. Fairy DMK, howdy body. The thing is, I watch a lot of stuff from Sierra Leone, and there's a chance that I'm in the algorithm of folks from Sierra Leone. Oh, here we go. Oh, he's from Indonesia. I don't want your account. What are you talking about with your account? Yeah, okay. He is lost. You're right. This is not Sir Fairy DMK. You shouldn't be handing out your account number here. This is just a political chat channel. Oh my God. Pinkerbell says it's Indonesian. He's saying people are impersonating his YouTube channel. Well, that sucks, dude. Do you like your nipples sucked? Asked Gino. I hate that, actually. I don't care for the nipple play on a gentleman. I understand there are fellas that like it. I don't find the sensation pleasurable. Never have. Not a fan of having my nipples played with in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, Jack, bringing up a great point. In 5 years, there will be 75% less jobs thanks to AI. So you can imagine what this country will be like. Certainly. And we should be laying the groundwork. We should essentially be creating jobs or a replacement for the benefits that a job would bring if we know those jobs are going to go away. Because the jobs at one point, one job equaled one set of benefits for an American. But if 75% are going away, I think that number might be a little large, but what do I know? If some amount of jobs are going away, it's no good. Yeah. Guys, I'm sorry. The chat's going by too fast for me to keep track of anything. Now that's interesting from Jay Dizzle. AI won't take your job, but someone who knows how to use AI will. Maybe, but I don't think you can say with such certainty. I don't think you should say with such certainty that AI won't take somebody's job, even if the second half of what you're saying is so. Look, Elaine, the people asked. I wouldn't want to know that information myself. I wish I could not know that about myself, but yeah, sure, a little bit. Jay Dizzle, in all seriousness, though, even if the second half of what you're saying ends up being true, the person doing AI, their product, or the person who knows how to use AI, their productivity will go up, as it always has. You know what? This is what the whole stream's about now. This is one of the easiest graphs you can find. Oh, if you can find it in a proper aspect ratio. Oh, this will work. Okay. So right now, we've got typical productivity from the 60s till just about now versus wages, basically. The I think it's the median. It says typical workers. I'm not sure if they mean average or median. I think they're measuring the median. It doesn't really matter it's so large, the numbers we're talking about, that you could use either. It's going to show the same thing. But basically, the light blue line shows the cumulative percentage change, so increase, of wages. And you'll notice right around the mid 70s, it starts to switch. These two things do not keep pace with each other anymore. Now, the blue line, that's productivity. That's how much stuff we accomplish as workers. And as automation increases, as, for example, innovations like AI hit the workplace, as things as simple as emails arrive. So you can send a written communication to somebody and know that they have it, and you don't need to get confirmation because you see in your mailbox, sent, good. As things like that piled up and we got more and more productive, wages did not keep pace with us. And in fact, hourly compensation just about flatlined starting in the 70s. It's growth. That doesn't mean that it is the same as it was in the 70s, but the rate of growth fell off entirely. If you see at the end there, the average hourly worker should be making about double, a little bit more than double than what they do make. if wages kept up with productivity. So who's getting the benefits then? Who's getting the benefits of that huge gap? Well, you won't be surprised to learn that we're approaching having our first ever trillionaire. That our idea of a rich person went from being somebody that's got tens of millions of dollars to somebody that's got tens of billions of dollars. Bearing in mind, 11 days is how many seconds. If you translated a dollar to a second, it would take you 11 days to get to a million seconds, and it would take you 37 years to get to $1 billion. So even if AI doesn't directly take your job, it's going to make you more productive. And the company will see, all right, if we have 2 workers that are both 150% more productive this year, we can fire 1 out of every 3 workers. Yeah, an amount of money which is just meaningless at a certain point. After $100 billion, what could you possibly buy it within one lifetime? It's just meaningless. Yeah, Jack. We are watching the powers reshuffle the world order. It will be chaos. It certainly will. Now, this is interesting. Thoughts on William Sasha Riley statements being true? I haven't even heard of it. William Sasha Riley statements. I don't see any recent ones. Tinkerbell, using one of my favorite words, hoovering up all the loot to sit on it like a dragon. Yeah. Oh God, I just read the thing right below it. I am sorry. Yeah, all right. Oh, don't read the William Sasha Riley thing. Okay, well then I won't. I don't see what I don't. But that brings me to a thing I would like to see. Yes. Oh, Jack, add in robotics with AI. It will eventually be almost all jobs besides crime and top tier tech. Yeah. I do want to know. I'm going to set aside requests for William Sasha Riley until I've had a chance to review it, because one of my quite trusted people is suggesting I not play it on the stream. And I am now going to try to get remonetized. So I am willing to at least review that in private first. But let's answer some questions from the audience. Saya says, do you believe in prophecies? Here's the thing. I used to tell you no to such a question. But what is a prophecy? It's a prediction for the future based upon evidence, based upon esoteric evidence, maybe. Yes. I think we just don't appreciate the real life prophecies that we have. Now, I imagine you're talking about straight up Christian theological prophecies. No, I don't think that God hands people visions, perhaps in the way you're thinking. But I think the weatherman predicting what the weather is going to be like this weekend is a prophecy. You take that same dude and you take him out of a suit and you put him into a robe with stars on it and a big floppy hat with a pointy cone on top. You put him in a castle and you have him holding up vials and what have you and says, yes, my king, the weather will be correct in one day. Tomorrow on the eve, it will be dry enough for you to move your troops. I have prophesied it. I think that's straight up a prophecy. So the short answer is yes, but I think they're less cool. Jay Dizzle says, blue-collar jobs will always be there. Learn a good trade. Fair enough. I will go learn how to shoe horses. Now, this one you are correct about. I think people will always need to take so plumbers will never go away. Fair. Plumbers and electricians, probably going to last a good long time. Yeah, it's sort of the problem with our current setup is we're not as I mentioned earlier from another angle, what we don't consider in the because we are owned, our government is basically bought by the people who are running these businesses. We don't ever stop and consider the customer base itself. And they're just assuming that there will always be customers, but they are choosing to not pay attention to Henry Ford's method of success, which is pay your employees enough so that you have customers, because the churn of that money is more important than any one particular sale or any one particular transaction. Groove Dragon, you got to go to the horizontal stream. It's going to be a different crowd, and you're gonna develop. You will not enjoy yourself. I know you don't like talking to these folks. Just go to the horizontal stream. That's why it's there for y'all. This is the main stream I do. The other one is for these folks. We know we're going to disagree with them, but where are we going to arrive if we never talk? Yes, amazing how neglected horses could be. Surprising there's not a lot of horseshoers around, blacksmiths these days. Yeah, a rising tide lifts all boats. Oh man, have you seen those hoof prescription videos? I watched so many of those. We're going to watch one right now. I have no idea what you're talking about. Is it from Diane Green? Oh, she's a farrier. Oh. Oh.
Hi, I'm Jessica, and this is Callie. She's an 18-year-old Icelandic mare, and we're a little bit new to horses.
Yeah.
When we bought her, she had 4 shoes on. We took them off in the winter to let her feet rest a little bit and see how they do
Pink,
without
why
shoes.
would you do this to me?
She's primarily in the arenas, but we'd like to do some trail riding with
This is
her.
all I'm going to be able to do
So
now.
our question for you, Diane, is does she need shoes right now or not? Or how do we know when she needs shoes?
Oh, sweet baby.
Hi, Jessica. Thank you for your question. Folks, I'm here at Broken Arrow Stables, and I've been trimming Callie today, and I'm going to go through with you and let you out on some small rock and gravel at the stables here to see if she's showing any tenderness on the rocks.
I genuinely want to develop this skill. I want to be at a horse farm one day. There's a lot of horse farms in Michigan. I want to be there and just casually be like, oh, it looks like that foal's about ready for her first shoes, and just blow the mind of some farmer that has correctly identified me as a hopeless city boy. Also, my father raced horses, so I feel like I have an obligation to know.
So I'm looking to see if she's short stepping, stumbling, and I'm having Callie do a figure 8, kind of turning her in both directions so that we are able to determine whether or not Callie is showing any sort of sensitivity to drainage for water, or the Rebel boot, which has a soft silicone cup in the back, and it allows movement up and down of the heel bulb.
Well, you've made a fan out of this from me. Well done. Horse ranch. Horse ranch. Good point. Not a farm. Ranch. Good point. Get out of town. I'm not in the Flint area, but good for you, the driftless Iowan. No, I'm in Southeast Michigan, but that's awesome. Oh, Bud Russell, you grew up riding horses. Heck yeah. Oi, okay. I'll tell you what, gang. I had a pretty darn good time talking to you. But I do have to be on this space shows pretty soon. I understand Devil's Advocate Productions is going to be doing something. And so I will leave you with the sweet, sweet tunes of Donald James X. This has been WYCD Wicked. That stands for What You Can Do. My name's Jake.